So it is the middle of March now, so it's time for us to pick our April book for the book club. This is actually coming a little bit later than I usually like to do this, but March has been a little bit of a crazy month. I'm sure you're all aware how crazy it is. It's making work very, very busy, very, very stressful. Well, stressful is not quite the right word, but things have just been a little bit crazy. The thing with my car happened. Lee and I have been doing some spring cleaning. It's all just been a little bit chaotic this month, but here I am. I have 5 books from 5 different genres for you to pick from for our April read. First up, we have What She Found in the Woods by Josephine Angelini, which is a young adult thriller, I believe. This copy is an advanced reader copy, but this book came out in July last year, so it's definitely out. It's just that the copy I have is an art, and I will read you the synopsis. After a scandal breaks in her elite New York City school, Magdalena is shipped off to her grandparents' sleepy Pacific Northwest town to spend a summer recovering under the radar. Over-medicated and uninspired, she spends her days in a fog, hiking in the woods behind her grandparents' cottage. But then she stumbles across Wild Boy Bo, and Magdalena starts believing she might be able to move on from her own past. But when a series of crimes breaks across town and a body is found in the woods near Bo's encampment, it's clear that Magdalena's nightmare is just beginning. I'm not going to read any more than that because apparently thrillers have a tendency to overwrite their synopsis. The next book is The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary, which is contemporary romance, possibly for adults or possibly young adult. I'm not 100% sure, but the premise of this one is that there are 2 people who both need a place to live, and they're both struggling to find somewhere. In fact, one of them already lives in a place and needs a roommate, and the other one needs a place to live. She needs somewhere to stay during the day. He needs somewhere to stay at night because other way around. She needs somewhere to stay overnight. He needs somewhere to stay during the day because he works the night shift at a hospital, so they share a flat. But they never actually see each other because they're always crossing paths, and so they start leaving notes for each other, and it's a romance. So there's that one. Then we have a dystopian. Again, I'm not sure of the age range for this, possibly YA, possibly adult. It's The Swan Book by Alexis Wright. And this is written by an Indigenous Australian author about the Indigenous Australian experience. Thank you to Henry for correcting my terminology. Indigenous is the correct word, not native, which I knew at the time of filming, and I probably should have just looked it up. This one, I don't really know what the plot line is, but I know that it's dystopian and Indigenous Australian. That's all I really know about it, but it sounds interesting to me, so on the list it goes. Then we're adding a historical fiction into the mix, The Light Between Worlds by Laura Weymouth, which is historical fiction but also fantasy, sort of like Narnia or the Wayward Children series. The sisters go into a portal fantasy world and then they come back to our world and struggle to adapt back into everyday life. And then finally I thought that I would add a classic to this list, so we have Wide Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys, which is a prequel to Jane Eyre, although it was written like a couple of 100 years after Jane Eyre. I think this was written in 1966, I'm actually not sure when Jane Eyre was written, the 1800s I think, so 100 years later, but this follows Mr. Rochester's wife and her story. So there we go. Those are 5 books for you to pick from. There will be a poll up above for you. Please vote for which book you would like to read, and as always, if you would like to participate in the readathon, please leave me your Instagram handle down below so I can add you to the chat when I create it next week when the results for this video go up. Usually I leave a little bit of a gap between announcing the chosen book and creating the chat, but this is coming a little bit later in the month than usual, so I will be creating the chat pretty much straight away, and I might release the chosen book a little bit earlier than a week just to give everybody plenty of time to get their hands on the book, but I don't think any of these are particularly new. So with the exception of the flat share, and even this one I think has been out for a little while. Yeah, 2019. So none of them are particularly new, so they should all be available at libraries or at pretty cheap prices, potentially even at secondhand bookshops. So hopefully you will all be able to get a hold of it. And that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks. Bye.